Hey there, my fellow builders, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, the Frosty Planet. Episode 5, Carving Out a Future. And we're doing a pretty good job sweeping this area up, and as a result of that, as you can see in the decor overlay, it's pretty around here. Because wood is a very pretty material. So once we move our infrastructure in here, it's going to be very easy to keep our dupes happy when they're living in somewhere they deem pretty and when it's warm as well. Yeah, I could also replace all the wooden ladders with granite. Definitely. I had that thought, because otherwise it might slow down my progress. I was kind of hoping to avoid all of the necessary labor in doing that, but I think that is probably a good idea. You know, and maybe way in the future, petroleum, or plastics rather. But yeah, let's do that, because I am hurting for wood right now, and that would solve it for the immediate future. So, the other thing is, I don't want my stables to be cramped. So, I might also want to dig a path over here so that I can physically move some of this ethanol out of the way. Maybe also obtain the lumen quartz and expand the ranch out to the maximum size so that the flocks can be happy. I could also consider replacing some of the floorboards here with mesh tiles so that any gases trapped here get dumped out and go below. Do that over here as well, so that so we don't have trapped gases where the ranch is. Anything new that I've stumbled upon? So there's another sleet wheat grain cold biome over there. I can see the grain here. This, I don't really know if it leads anywhere, but there are a lot of plume squash plants if I want to start plume squash farming. Oh, here is bleachstone. So this is a sand and bleachstone with carbon dioxide and hydrogen gas biome just beyond this point. So if I needed bleachstone, there's some down there. Got it. Well, that's all I know so far. That's helpful. Alright, I don't know if, I don't want to exhaust my amount of wood that I have, but I'll start using it up so that we can make more progress in this project here. So I've got 7 on one side, 7 on the other. And then what I might do on the end here is have 2 mesh. And to have this be the physical area that I've chosen. Like, this will be the extent of the living quarters for now. Just because at some point you're just going to need to cap it so that you can actually isolate it. Because otherwise the project itself will just spin out of scope. Oh man, look down there. That is a lot of oxalite ready to be harvested. And the idea here is a wall and then a double air gap, which will eventually vacuum to form a seal, a real tight, airtight seal around this whole area. I don't know if it's going to work in the long term, but we'll make amendments to it if needed. Major Mildew, thank you for the resub. The air buffer is a great idea? Yeah. I think it will have... It increases the complexity and the difficulty and the amount of time it will take to actually create the project. But as a net result, if you have a vacuum around, the only heat transference that you're going to have is the heat transference in these igneous rocks and then the liquid in your airlock, which is not a lot of thermal conductivity, which means that it's very stable. Operating, decorating, farming, operating, ranching, or lava eggs. So larva eggs, if you're wondering, incubate into slicksters for crude oil, and I don't really need that for now. So, more omelets, if you're wondering. So let's say this is the roof. Alright, I'm out of wood. Got it. So these are also wood ladders that I could probably do away with. Here. But I did want wood floors. Like, I'm not gonna compromise on that. So we have a little bit more of the wood ladders left to be replaced. And I think if I go to, like, yeah. Organic shows me where the wood is to be replaced. So I can easily identify it. Yeah, I don't have the type of heat to keep slicksters alive yet. Absolutely. That would be another bottleneck. I don't really need blast shots anytime soon, so I'm going to do improve carrying. For more carry capacity. For our hauler. Our tidier. And then in terms of priorities for Sean, tidying and storing above building and supplying. So he should just be grabbing stuff and moving to where it needs to be. As like a full-time. So the tunnel over to the ethanol is ready to go. These critters are crowded, so I'm going to want to expand this sooner than later. So for now, what I could do is start to replace the wall here, because this... And then to work on expanding the ranch out to the maximum size so there's more space. So, I'm going to put this, I know, priority creep, but I'm going to put this as 9, because sad animals won't regrow at the same speed. So if you look at the scale growth here, eating and happiness is a major factor. So, the critter isn't comfortable with this many critters in the size of his room. If I want to get, like, max antlers, which I do, you know, I need to make sure to try to keep him as happy as possible. And I'm also going to be expanding the pike apple farm over here as well. What is the eye irritation here? Who got an eye irritant? Oh, carbon dioxide. Yeah, okay, whatever. We're fixing that by putting mesh tiles in so the carbon dioxide can free flow downwards. Yeah, a lot of solid mercury over here. So if you're wondering, of the things introduced into this pack, a lot of people are like, oh god, mercury. So if it warms up, obviously it turns into a liquid. It isn't like it is for humans where it's going to cause like brain damage. But in its solid form, it's actually very handy to use for tuning up power in power plants. And then as a liquid, it's pretty good as a for thermal conductivity as a heat sink liquid. So there are some uses for mercury, but you probably don't want to accidentally turn it into a liquid. It's way better if you do it on purpose. So if you see solid mercury anywhere, just make sure that you're not exposing it to a lot of heat once you uncover it, or you're going to end up with a bit of a mess. And my strategy for that is to try to avoid it until I can use it as a chip material for power plants, potentially, or just avoid it altogether, or use it as a liquid for thermal conductivity pipes, for heatsink pipes. But we'll see. So here, as you can see, I'm just slowly constructing a wall to move the ethanol more to the right, and there's plenty of volume in this pool to free up space for the farm. What I'll probably end up wanting to do, and we're running into a new consumable ore. So this is sucrose. This is essentially raw sugar. We could utilize that as well. Where am I going to want to put this? Poo quicker? Yeah, let's poo quicker. I'm not sure if you... I think you can poo quicker if you illuminate your outhouse. I forget. Would mercury work for liquid locks? Yeah, maybe not on this biome so well, because it does turn into a solid, which would be, oh, mammoth patties. You know, and you don't want your liquid lock to solidify, because then it's just a wall. But yeah, that might be a tactic that works for you. Oops. I might need more space for this to go into. So where are we going? We're going this far. So let me create, just so that I can visualize how large this needs to be. I think it needs to be that big. Yep, 96. That's the total. So this will be the back wall here. I can do pack snow. This is essentially how big we want it to be. Got it. I need to move it out that far. So I just need more space to displace the ethanol for now. Alright, in order to sweep this up a little faster, let's create a temporary ladder here. I'm doing it really high priority just so that Sean's job isn't unnecessarily difficult. And then that ladder will be destroyed once we no longer have use of it, or need of it. I may want to consider disabling the backcountry grill for now, just so that Nabla can do ranching instead. I think some of these antlers look... I mean, these animals are now happy. They're no longer cramped. So mood happy means that their reproduction rate goes up a lot, so we can actually start using them potentially for meat. when their population spikes. And then there'll be more of them for us to shear for wood. This is almost a max-sized ranch. So as soon as the animals become unhappy again, I can do some cullings. This should do. And then everything planted here will be on disabled auto-harvest, because we're not harvesting these pike apples for our own consumption. They are strictly for the fawns grazing. And as you can see, they don't really graze very much. These are fully grown pike apple bushes that are just sitting there. So that's how little they eat. So they're a very efficient food source, if you will. Or wood source, I should say. And we almost have this ranch at max size. So max size is 96, and it's at 89 now. So I just need to get rid of these 8 blocks, and then we'll be done. Then I can ignore that for a bit. And that would be, what, 12 critters, I think? Is when they get cramped. And that's a good amount of wood source, I think. Yeah. Or not 12. Less than 12 cells per critter. So, at, what, 7, 8 critters? So this is cycle 30 that we've done. I feel pretty accomplished. I mean, we're working on an isolated, insulated area. We've got a farm. We've got a lot of food. Ooh, I have a blueprint. A brand new blueprint. So these are just like cosmetics. So I can add gloves. Maybe I'll add gloves to Scorpio, because he's our researcher. And, well, let me focus on the blueprint. Wood. Supplying dig. Narcoleptic critter aversion. Dr. Build. Okay, I think we're just gonna print wood. It's surprisingly not a lot of wood. Cool. So that didn't fill up, that didn't flood. So now the ranch is done. I do have one on the ceiling, so I'm gonna have to fill the ceiling in. True. That was oxalate, I'm assuming, that decayed. Oh, it's unreachable build too. Yep. Temporarily getting rid of the drop-off spot. Partially because I don't think there's going to be any more fawns to even transplant there. And also partially just because we need access to the roof where the oxalate had sublimed. And then we'll be able to make it a... Actually, let's not do packed snow, only because packed snow has a chance to melt. Whereas granite does not. So all of the original packed snow tiles here, we can start to replace with granite, because granite also has the benefit of travel speed, allowing us to move around our base a little bit faster. So it has a double benefit. And like these temporary walls I can keep as packed snow. I don't really care about those if they melt, because they don't insulate a room anyway. But everything else that could be granite can become granite. And that will help with movement speed pretty significantly once it's done. There we go. More antler groom. Oh, no, that's grooming. But pretty soon I think we're going to do some shearing. And this is now a max size stable. So if we wanted, we could have a farm go all the way out here too. I just don't need that much food. Our cake houses almost... They're getting ridiculous. In fact, I would go so far as to say... I'm disabling harvest for our own pike apples because I'm gonna soon have more food than even fits into a ration box. So I'd rather just save my manual labor for, you know, construction tasks rather than anything else. Looking good. So large projects like this just take a while. You know, especially given that I only have 4 people. But I suspect pretty soon they're going to make some headway now that all the other, like, micro tasks are kind of complete. And I don't have any cooking queued up. I don't have any research queued up. So we have a lot more people working towards it. So, are we benefiting from the light by plunging? I don't see that there's a benefit to the light for plunging, but next time someone sits on the can, I'll check if there's a benefit for that. I think there might be, but I could be wrong. I could be mistaken. So, oxygenation is a little low, as you might have been able to tell, around the base. So the other thing that I could do, because I do have a lot of oxalite that has been stored, is set up some strategic sconces in different areas to re-oxygenate the base, because what's happening here is we're just sweeping up everything that the Alveol Vera makes into the box, so that there's not a lot of sublimation going on. And I can also just dig to reveal some of the oxalite as well. Oops. Misclick. So that we have natural sublimation going on, and then also artificial sublimation. And between those two, the breathability of the base should go back up. So these sconces will put us a 9. I know it's getting creeped. But I want it to be breathable. Who would have thought? There's a little bit of polluted oxygen here up in this farm, probably from polluted soil or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what. But because there's really no germs anywhere, I'm not too concerned about that. Here's our germ overlay where, like, nothing is germy really at all. So I'm going to be ignoring that for now. So you can see the benefit of the sconces almost immediately. Also, if I dig that out, the oxygen caught up here will be able to flow more freely downwards. Yeah, here's the benefit of a sconce. You can see that there's a pocket of higher pressure oxygen right around it. So it's pretty immediate effect, and I'm exposing some of this oxalite, so this will be subliming and creating more oxygen pockets for us. One thing that this map tile has a lot of is ice. And ice can be turned into water, which can be turned into oxygen and hydrogen. You know, H2O, separating the water out into its elemental parts. The struggle is to mass produce ice requires a lot of heat, and heat is a little hard to actually generate in enough quantities early on, safely contained, to be able to create electrolyzers. So that's a future goal, but we definitely need to be able to control the heat that it generates, which is why it's not the path I take on the Frosty Planet initially. So most of the floors have been replaced. So now we're just working on the ladders, and then working more on setting up the flooring for this area, and then to air gap it. But progress is good. Are there other easy to reach floxes? Not that I can see. We have 6 critters in there. So taking a look at the materials overlay, yeah, there's only a few wooden ladders left. And then we'll be granite everywhere, because we've obtained a whole lot of granite, so. Oh, the box is full. Actually, I don't really need that ladder. So at this point, what I'm doing is digging a too wide corridor or pocket around the entire structure. So that I can air gap it. So actually this won't be a mesh tile in the future. So I'm not going to put mesh there. So the idea is everything within this box will be isolated from the outside. This is the extent. So I'm just digging up everything around it, and then eventually creating like an air gap and vacuuming it out so that there's no gas in between the two walls, so there's no heat transference. So to have a truly air-gapped... Ooh, that's not good. A truly air-gapped base. Which will also probably require its own liquid lock, likely, to gain access to the inside of the airlock. So I'll probably have a second liquid lock that I'll set up at some point. A 4th floor for living quarters? Yeah, I could do a 4th floor. I was contemplating maybe I'll have it go 1 unit higher. It's easier to add it now than add it later, because if I add it later, it requires a huge amount of redesign. So there's a lot of truth in that. Do it now or have a huge project on my hand later on. It just slows everything down for now, but I think you're probably right. It's better, more long-term sustainability doing it. So it's a lot of floors. It's a big project. And you'll start to see the external walls for the lock, which I can do in wood or stone. I might do in wood. Meaning that this bottom floor could actually, it doesn't really need to be wood. I'm going to get rid of the wood so that I can conserve wood, because wood is a more precious resource than granite at the moment. So it should look something like that. And eventually this will be granite as well. Printable. Ranching. Farming, doctoring, suit wearing, cooking, hatchling eggs, farming. Okay, nope. The only thing I'm really looking for is like a dig build And if they're not dig build, I'm just gonna pass. So here are places where eventually there'll be a wall, but for the ease of movement, I'm leaving open. And then you can see where the air gap is going to go. And I'll want to sweep out the air gap as well, because I don't want things to get stuck in the vacuum. So I'll probably end up putting the liquid lock access to the air gap here, just so that we have a maintenance tunnel, essentially. And the top material here will be also granite. So we're essentially entombing the area. Like this. Actually, I drew that wrong. There we go. Entombing it like this. So the entire thing becomes entombed in a pocket. So this will eventually be cut off up there. It's a big project. Oop. Let's not put walls in there just yet. Freedom of movement is more important for now than, you know, the actual air pocket. Do you want to save the top area for plants? Oh, yeah. This area, true. We can have just be natural... Ooh, you know, right. So the original thought was to have this be part of the, nature reserve. Is there... So where are my wild plants at? So there's wild plants here. There are 4 plants here, but it would be really challenging to make that part of the reserve. So if I did want to leave this alone, what I could do is I could lower the top floor by 1. Or just have this be... So the problem with that being snow is it will drop, right? Like, snow falls out. So I'm probably actually just going to turn this into granite and figure out the nature reserve elsewhere. Either... Let me try to figure out what plants would be good for that. Because I would want plants... Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could turn these 4 plants, or these 4 plants, into the reserve. Something like that. So I'm not going to worry about these plants specifically. So this is all just for freedom of movement, but it will help you visualize what it will look like. Where this inside area is going to be completely isolated from the outside. Ooh, skill up. Matic. Let's give you construction. I like how the airlock is just blocked off by snow that dropped. It's kind of funny. Ooh, wow, we have so little carbon dioxide down there that the aloe vera aren't even converting it now. Overkill, in other words. Which breathability around this area is pretty good as a result. I wonder if I can't fix this by like sticking granite in the wall and then removing it or something. I know I could save and load and that would fix it, but I'm curious if I could do that without having to save and load. So the 2 wide gap here is so that I can have a ladder and the ladder won't physically touch the outside wall. So that their ladder can't act to transfer heat either. There's essentially nothing touching the outside except for just the airlock alone. And the liquid lock into the air gap doesn't need to connect with the inside of the living quarters, so that doesn't have to add to the thermal conductivity of the air gap. If that goes way above your head, don't worry about it. It will be way more obvious when I build it. How's my animals looking over here? A pile of 4,000 wood? I would say that's pretty good. Let's sweep that up. Put that away. Alright, kcals. We really don't need to do any cooking, at least for now. That looks pretty solid. Animals look happy and fed. Actually, they're glum. They're glum because their needs aren't met. Because what? They aren't being groomed? So priorities. Nabla ranching. You should just be grooming them. Some are happy because they're recently groomed. Some are glum because they haven't been. So I don't think it's not an overpopulation. It's just a lack of grooming, which is fine. They're getting groomed, and then they'll reproduce. But boy, living here is going to be fancy. Wood floors and warm, and I'm just looking forward to it. Cannot wait. See them like walking around this spot, so I'm going to set up higher priority digs for that, just so that there's not like crazy walk paths. Alright, most of these guys are happy. I feel like I told them to haul the wood and I have no idea where the wood went. I think it just went straight to construction. Time to think of another rancher? I don't think so. We kind of have... I mean, we have a recurring need for the wood heater, but the wood heater doesn't use a lot of wood per cycle. So I think the need to add another rancher is pretty low. At least until we start ranching other critters like biomes or other critters that I haven't interacted with yet, so I don't want to spoil. Are you stuck there? Not yet. Gotta keep an eye, make sure that they never get stuck. Fruit decayed. Rotten oblet. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, it's taking shape. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included, the Frosty Planet, which originally streamed live on Twitch July 25th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow duplicates.